So, I mean, this year's Cinequest theme is impact and having a vision within that impact. How do you feel your film fits within that theme, and what do you like about the theme?
Our film, I think impact. We had a screening last night and got to see it in front of an audience for the first time because it was a world premiere, and just the impact of them and having a good time. They were having so much fun, and everybody walked out in such high spirits. And like we used to work at a movie theater when we first moved to LA, and we used to have, it was the floor team when we had to wait. You know how you have to clean the theater, so we would wait and watch you just watch people come out of a theater, and it's funny to see whether they're like sad or they're like, I thought it was a waste of time, or like they're happy. And it was like, I think we got a good like, hey, I don't know how I was feeling before this, but now I feel great, and I'm like laughing my ass off.
Yeah, and I think also we kind of have a unique comedy that is just very funny, but also puts on a lot of actors of color, fantastic actors of color, and I think that's a subtle impact to add into the conversation of representation.
I mean, the acting in this movie is so spot on, and it seems like the actors have a great sense of staying true to their characters. How much of that was on the page? How much room did you allow for improv?
Yeah.
Well, we definitely, had a script that Lamar and I were, shooting, but I think on set we have tons of improv actors that are in the cast, so it's like we can't have those actors on set without, doing that. And
we were like we all came out of UCB up in LA, so when we were writing the script, we knew. We kind of knew who was going to play some of these parts.
Sure. So
there was no sort of like, and I think we always had this philosophy of like, with writing, we're like not precious about anything, especially with comedy. And like there's a scene where Tony Baker, who plays Love, is like, he's backing away from the DJ booth, and he's just walking back, and he's like talking shit to the DJ. Yeah. And I think that entire run was improvised. And we did it like 4 or 5 times, and every time one of them yelled cut, like the entire crew would bust out laughing.
Right. He was like, how far do you want me to back up? I'm like, I don't know, man. What do you think? Just go for it.
Now, the idea of chaptering, did that come into the original script concept, or was it after in post that you guys decided, hey, that would probably work with this film?
It's funny because it was in the original script. We did have an idea to chapter it up, and then we threw it away. But then as we got to post, we realized for pacing issues, just because over the course of the night, there's a lot of time passage. You know what I mean? And it's we didn't want to constantly show a clock or something like that. That wasn't the point of it. It's more just showing the I guess existential problem with time. So those telecards really kind of pace out the film and chapter it up. So that was it was a decision at first, and then we doubled down on it in post.
And was it important to kind of mix it up a little bit, because there's shorter chapters and there's longer chapters, and were you guys very conscious of that when you decided to put these chapters in?
Did you? I would say, yeah, definitely. I think the point of it is they're a little chaotic, and the fact that they're different times. But each one is segmented to be a part of the party, in itself.
Right. Yeah, and I think it sort of helps with the idea of a party in general, what a party is, and the stages of a party, because it is interesting when you think of the course of the night when you go to a party and you're like, okay, I'm here, this is the beginning, and now I'm kind of getting my feet wet, or there's no food here. The first thing you realize at a party when there's no good food, you're like, all right, well, am I going to stay here? Okay, yeah. And it's and it sort of progresses in that way. So I think it was cool to, because it is all in one night, the whole film, and it's cool to kind of just explore those different aspects of what a party is. Yeah. Sure.
Hey, where you at, nigga? I'm at your goddamn surprise party.
Everybody hide! Hey, y'all, hide!
I wanted to do something different for Corey this year.
Corey, get here. Y'all better have your motherfucking hiding spots ready.
I'm gonna surprise that nigga with nostalgia.
This nigga Corey not coming.
That's what I've been saying.
You even know where he is?
He was doing something, and then he said he's gonna be back.
Do you know when Corey's gonna get here? I'm getting really tired.
Yeah, honestly, I don't really know much about Corey.
Dang, yo, half.
None of you people are even friends with each other. Come on over, come on over, come
There's several subtle societal statements in this film. They're made very subtly, like the cell phone issue. When we turn and we see everybody on their cell phones. And then there are some that are overt. And a lot of times with these kind of films, the overt ones kind of take over and kind of wash it away and bury it. Were you guys very careful about that, especially in the writing process, about, hey, look, I don't want to make this another film that just gets lost and mired in the comedy, but still has a point to make?
I like that. Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, that's what we was trying to do. Yeah.
We meant to do that. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a writer for the TV show New Girl. For that for 2 seasons, and that show, that's writing like sitcom, like every line is joke. Like, I mean, literally we go through every line. It's like has to be a joke. And like when I got back with Weldon, and when we started writing together, it was like it very fun to sort of like step out of comedy for a second and just like let the story breathe into something that like is personal to us. Because I think, not that New Girl's not personal, I have my own connection with New Girl that I love, but with this was like we had we were experiencing this as friends and in LA, this idea of like success and people being affected by other people's success, and we like, at the time, we would go on I would go on Facebook and see some friends book something that I knew, and then I'd be like, man, what am I doing wrong? How can I get there? Or why? But why does that affect me? Or like you would see your friend go to Hawaii, you'd be like, man, I'm not traveling enough. Or like, how do I do better? And it's like, why is this actually making me feel affected? So we were like, I think we realized now, we didn't realize this till just now, it's like, we picked a good story that we could carry for 3 years, because like, we're going to have to live with this idea for so long. Right. So I think that was something that sort of made us feel like, well, if it's going to be funny, it's got to like mean something to us too.
Right. Yeah. And I think just in terms of your question, there is a difference just because it's a longer format of consciously pulling back jokes for certain moments so that we can like ramp up into other jokes. So it's like, well, we consciously like balance the film in that way.
Do you feel like self-deprecation and making fun of oneself is a lost art in film these days? Because you guys do it so well in this movie, right. And I had to imagine that actors were really excited to sign on with something like that, right?
Yeah, that's. I don't think it's lost that much, but I think it's not as prevalent in films with people of color. Mm-hmm. I think sometimes we're worried about making ourselves look so good because we've been shown so negatively in media. So we're like, all right, I can't have this character be like this because I want to make sure that we're representing black people as a whole. And I think what's beautiful about what's happening right now is like with shows like Atlanta and Insecure and Black Panther coming out. It's like people are able to just do the work, and like we're not representing the entire black culture. This is just their show. Yeah. This is my show, and this is their show, and like this is our expression, and we can have characters that are flawed, and black characters are flawed, and each one can be flawed in their own way, and it doesn't have to be like this one character is representing the entire nation of black people. And so it makes it great to see. I've never really seen rappers portrayed vulnerable, like on screen, really, or like insecure,
You guys started with a lot of short films, and as filmmakers, do you feel like that is an important vehicle, and what do you guys use short films for in terms of how your process works?
When we were doing shorts, it was more for us to sort of, I don't like the word practice because I think, you just kind of just want to make something. What you're doing. Yeah, but it definitely felt like let's just keep making stuff, and in that looking back, it definitely was a process. The process itself was like us finding our voice, and I think when we go back and look at all the videos, we made like 40 videos.
Hi, my name is Travis Thurman, but today I want to talk to you guys about stereotypes. The stereotype is that we have large penises ranging from 9 to 13 inches for the modern black man. My penis is 4.2 inches, that's erect. Think of a small roll of quarters with $1.25 taken out of it, and on top of 2 other short films. And I'm like, oh, now when we made this film, I don't know how well we would have done it if we hadn't done that, because it was definitely like, making the movie was like the hardest thing I think we've ever done. Sure. And that was like, but we had this like confidence of like the fact that we just produce a lot. So we're like constantly producing. We like know the flow of what producing means. And it really helped us. So I think shorts help in finding your voice, to answer your question. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, I think just to piggyback on what Lamar's saying, right now you can make a short that's not geared towards the taste of a film festival. Now, you can be very unique in your voice, and I don't think that was an option 20 years ago. I think like you had to get that short into the film festival because that was your platform to show it. But now it's like our short that the last short that we made before this feature, it has more views on Instagram than it does anywhere else. You know what I mean? It's like more people have seen that short, and they like it on Instagram. It's like, okay, we'll take that. We want the views.
As artists, we're our worst critics, and you guys saw it on the big screen for the first time last night, but you've seen it probably a million times, the final cut, and you kind of look at it and you go, oh, I wish I had done that better, I wish I had seen that, or that should have been tighter. But I want to know from you guys, not any of that. I want to know what you think you nailed.
Yeah, we nailed it all, baby. Perfect, flawless. There's a moment, I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a sort of this comedic bit with this one character who's sort of posted up in the party the whole time, and to me it's like it just worked, like like just on a purely comedy level. It just like we didn't place him too much in the film. He was like subtly planted in the movie to where when he blows up, it turns into this very funny moment. And I was like, just as a comedian, I think I'm proud of that, because it's like, it's so hard to like make jokes, like just I perform a lot on stage, and it's hard to like, make people laugh. So like that was, to me, it was just like, yeah, that worked, and it works every time. Every time people see it, they laugh their ass off, and like it got like applause after that scene. And I was just like, damn, man, that was hot. Like, that was cool. If we could have messed that up if we overplayed it, and I think it's that, like, tension, like, oh, I love that shit, man.
The thing I'm particularly proud of is the music on the film. Like, we definitely, music on film is a challenge,
That's a very important part of this event.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think, half of the music's done by a composer that we know from LA. His name's Jukebox, and, he killed on that. And then the other half is
Jukebox was a vessel. I was a vessel for Jukebox.
Sorry.
And the other half of the music is licensed music from up and coming artists. So we're like so happy that we like dug into this like indie world to get their get a soundtrack and like get their music in a movie. You know what I mean? Like it's we're super proud about that. Yeah, I think we nailed it on that.
Along those lines, what do you guys love about being indie?
Oh yeah. I like that you don't gotta answer to nobody. I mean, we had no bosses on set, especially for me coming out of network TV. Sure. Like, you gotta every decision
you have
has
a really unique perspective in that regard.
Right? Yeah, you have to really get approval a lot for everything. Because the more money you're getting, it's like harder to make decisions. But with this was like, we would be like, hey, you want to change that scene? Yeah. Cool.
Sure.
Yeah. Let's do it. Yeah. Like, all right, let's cut that. Yeah, cool. And it was just like, it was such a cool feeling. And also on just a stress level of like coming into the set and like being able to run the set in a way that felt like comfortable for us and for the actors, and like made it feel like more of a family, more of a party. Weldon always says we want the set to feel like a party, and because we don't want any we want the vibe to feel like us, like just chill.
Yeah, and I think also there's just so many moments in the performance where if we didn't set up like a playful vibe on set, then it would not feel playful in the film. So that's, I think, because we're controlling the production, like we get to set that tone.